Hello, hello, hello. Good to see you all. Hello, hello. Come on in the room. We will start shortly. Thank you all for your patience. I am running a few minutes late. So I just want to acknowledge that and say that I appreciate you all for waiting and still being here. I remembered to take it out in the beginning this time, you guys. Hello, hello. I am Soleil. I am cover mother of Vision of Dawn Tour. I am the founder and the facilitator of the Charm School Hoodoo Mentorship Program. I am your weekly reader. I'm gonna start saying it because there's no reason why I shouldn't be advertising these services as well. I'm your coach, your transformational life coach, and I'm a dope bitch straight out of Oakland. So hello, hello, hello. I hope you guys are doing great. Um, I am here for another segment of Astro Hour. So we didn't have Astro Hour last week, but that's fine because hopefully you guys were all sitting with the information from the previous week, getting ready for this 13-month Jupiter in Leo transit. But we are here tonight to talk about a transit that actually started today, that's really important, that actually blends into Jupiter in Leo very beautifully, which is Venus in Virgo. And we're also going to talk about the new moon in Cancer that is coming up next week, okay? And as always, whenever I do these Astral Hour sessions, I do have readings that, oh my God, I'm going to turn the camera off real quick. I got to adjust my top. Much more appropriate, much better. Okay. Um, so yeah, as always, I do have readings that are aligned with the transits that we're going to talk about. I will offer those at the end. Um, but we're going to go through Astral Hour first. As always, as you come into the room, say hello, introduce yourself. I like knowing who's here. I like for these segments to be as interactive as possible. As the channel grows and as you guys get more comfortable, I will probably also start inviting some of you all onto the StreamYard along with me so that way you guys can show your faces again if you're comfortable in the future. But for right now, just introduce yourself in the chat. Say hello. Hey, Aisha. Hey, Nero. Hey, Nicole. Thank you all for joining tonight. So yeah, let's talk about these transits. Let's start with Venus in Virgo. And I think Venus in Virgo is so important. It's one of my, I'm a Virgo moon. You guys have heard me say that before. The older I get, the more I learn about Virgo, the more I respect Virgo energy. I think there's a really flat reading and understanding that people have of Virgos where they say things like, oh, all Virgos are just judgmental. Yeah, but it's not that simple, right? That judgment, when it's aligned, is very much about refinement and about making its perfection, right? It is the ability to make something at its best, right? Carving away and cutting away at something until it is its most refined, most elegant being. Debilitated Virgos just sit around and judge. A debilitated Virgo, a misaligned Virgo, an unhealed Virgo is the most gossipy, hypocritical motherfucker you will ever cross paths with. But when Virgo is in its power, right, when it's in its alignment, it is a beautiful energy to have. And I think what Venus in Virgo is here to teach us, and I wish I remembered the poet. There's a poet, and their first line in one of their poems is "Love is in the details," right? And I want that to be the energy that we consider and that we move forward with during this Venus in Virgo transit. Venus in Virgo is literally here to teach us and to remind us that love is in the details, right? Love is in refinement. Love is in the ability to pay attention to the details and to remember things, right? That is where love lives. And I think it's really important that we're talking about these two transits together. There's a lot of blessing in not only having Venus in Virgo, but having a new moon in Cancer while Venus is in Virgo, right? Because the new moon in Cancer is here to ask us, what is the emotional foundation that we're building right now, right? How are we creating safety? What is home for us? Those are very new moon in Cancer questions. And then Venus in Virgo is here to ask us, okay, how do we maintain the home we are building, the safety we are creating? How do we sustain that, right? So I think that these are very beautiful things to be happening at the same time. Since it started today, it literally started today. Venus went into Virgo today on July 9th. We're going to start with Venus in Virgo, and then we'll wrap up with our conversation about the new moon, okay? I love and appreciate my Virgo rising the older I get. I love that for you. So something that I learned in my studies is that our rising represents who we are called to be and to learn to be after we have gone through our Saturn return, right? Which makes a lot of sense. My rising is in Leo, and getting comfortable with taking up space and visibility has very much been a journey for me and a deep part of my personal development since I went through my Saturn return in my late 20s. So I would love to have further conversations with you about you and your Virgo rising, Aisha, at some point in the future. But let's talk about this Venus in Virgo. It started today, July 9th, and it is going to remain in Virgo until August 2nd. So that means that we have 24 days of this really beautiful, loving, but also structured energy around love, right? Venus in Virgo gets a bad reputation, and that's because Virgos have a bad reputation. Everyone assumes that Virgo is hypercritical, that she's judgmental, and those are things that we associate with a level of meanness, right? But Virgo isn't solely about criticism. Again, it's about refinement. It's about perfection. It's about bringing a sense of elegance into our lives through paying attention to the details, love being in the details, right? Whereas Venus is asking us about what we love, right? With Venus being the planet of love and value, and I'll talk about that in a second. Virgo is asking us, is what we love actually good for us? And that can be a really tough question, right? We cling to the things we love. We hold on to the things that we love, even when they hurt us, right? And some of us have stayed in relationships, in jobs, in communities for way too long because we loved them, even though they weren't good for us. And if any of you guys know about my spiritual journey and the separations I've had to make over the last few years, I can attest to that in very, very intimate ways. Okay. So this transit is less about criticism and more about becoming much more honest in the ways that we love, not just how we love others, but the ways in which we love ourselves. I really, really want to stress that Venus in Virgo is here to make us honest about the ways that we love ourselves as well as the way we love others, okay? So I assume everyone here has a little bit of a brief familiarity, or a surface level, rather, familiarity with what Venus represents, right? Excuse me. My current hyperfixation is water with watermelon in it. But if you have a surface level understanding of Venus, you know that Venus governs love, right? It governs self-worth. It is the planet of beauty and pleasure, right? Venus also governs relationships. The way that Venus governs relationships, you can see that in the energy of Libra. given that Libra is one of the children of Venus, right? Venus deals with value in all of its iterations, right? Value in the sense of how you value things, the value you attach to things, right? How you value yourself, the value of a thing, right? So if you are a business owner or a creator, are you valuing yourself, right? Don't be surprised if right now you're really considering rebranding yourself and how it is that people receive you. Because those are things that come up when we are dealing with a Venus transit, right? Venus also is the planet of attraction, right? So your Venus placement in your own natal chart will tell you a lot about what attracts people to you, right? My Venus is in Gemini, and people are very much attracted to how I communicate and my intellect and my ability to break down complex understandings in a way that makes them feel seen and understood, right? So again, understanding your Venus will give you understanding about what attracts people to you and also what attracts you to other people, okay? And then also the final thing, and I think that this is something that people often forget about Venus, which is a thing that when violated or not respected can definitely cause what I call Venusian rage, right? Because people want to think that Venus or the feminine is soft and, we attribute anger to the masculine in men. If you have ever encountered an angry woman, a scary woman, then Venusian rage is real. If you want an example of Venusian rage, you should be watching The Vampire Lestat. Please pay attention to Akasha's monologue. That will get you to understand Venusian rage, okay? But the last thing I want to talk about, because it's one of the most important aspects of Venus, but people forget it, is reciprocity. Reciprocity. When you are dealing with somebody who has a lot of Venus placements and they find themselves in dynamics, friendships, relationships that are non-reciprocal, oh my God, that will bring out having that moment. I'm saying this as a Taurus. Taurus is ruled by Venus. A lot of my biggest breakups, friendship breakups, professional breakups have been when I realize that I'm giving, and somebody has become entitled about my generosity and my kindness, right? Reciprocity is deeply important to Venus, deeply important to Venusian energy. And it is the quickest way to make someone with a lot of Venusian placements snap by being non-reciprocal, by being entitled, by being manipulative, by being greedy with your energy, okay? So these are all things that Venus governs. Venus is how we decide what is worthy of our energy and our life force. When you have a healthy connection to your Venus placement and Venusian energy in general, it helps you understand what is worthy of your time and of your life force. So any of you guys who are doing divine femininity work, that's something to really consider. A healthy divine feminine has healthy boundaries because they are aware of what drains their energy and they are aware of the value of their energy and they don't want it to be abused. It's a very Queen of Swords lesson, right? Now, that's the medicine and the healing of Venus. Now, the medicine of Virgo brings us a conversation about what is healthy, right? What is healthy? What is healthy in our life? What is sustaining our life force? What's going to put more years on our life as opposed to subtracting years from it, right? What is useful? The most insulting thing you can be to a Virgo is unuseful. What is your purpose? How are you useful? How is this energy? How is this conversation? How are these feelings useful, right? That's one thing about Virgo. People think Virgos don't have feelings, right? That's something that people will tease Beyonce about. They'll claim that she's robotic. It's not that Virgos don't have feelings. It's just that they're always thinking about their feelings. and whether or not their feelings are or emotions are useful in that moment, right? The medicine of Virgo is about sustainability, right? Are my endeavors sustainable? Am I building something that can last? Or is it something that's fleeting? Virgo is also invested in reciprocity, right? If it's not reciprocal, Virgo doesn't really care about it. And people who often place them in imbalanced situations will lose the respect of Virgo, okay? Honesty. The medicine of Virgo is very, very honest. Again, going back to that understanding that Virgos are hypercritical, that tends to be one of the reasons why people don't like Virgo, right? So this generation, this social media generation, where people just want to have the pretty picture and the curated you can't have a Virgo in your life if you're that kind of person. If you an internet baddie and you got a whole bunch of beautiful pictures and everybody calling you fine, but then you come across a Virgo placement and you stank, you just gonna have to be mad at that Virgo, because they're gonna ask you like, hey, why do you smell bad? Why is your hair matted? Right? Why is it that you can put all this energy into your wigs, into your makeup and all this to take pretty pictures, but then you have a pig pen energy in real life? And that's because Virgos are honest. Virgos are deeply uncomfortable with lies. Not only are they uncomfortable with lies, they're uncomfortable with people who force them to sit in lies or to act. They don't deal well with emperor has no clothes energy, right? At its root, Virgo is about functionality. Yes, you may love something, but is it functional in your life? Is that love serving a purpose? Is that love sustainable? Is it a love built off of compatibility and how it makes your life better? Or is it a love based off of chemistry and love bombing and feelings that are fleeting, right? Those are things, that's the medicine of Virgo when it's in Venus, right? So this is a time in these 24 days, a lot of the things are going to be coming up for us, and the questions that are going to be coming across our hearts are related to whether or not the relationships we're trying to fight for are actually working. Are they functional? Are they helping us? Or are they draining our life force? Again, Virgo also cares about money because it's an earth sign, all right? Virgo cares about money. So it's also going to be asking you like, hey, is your budget working? Is what's in your purse or in your wallet in alignment with your lifestyle? And if not, what needs to be refined? What needs to be cut back, right? Those are all very Venus and Virgo questions. Do my spiritual practices support my lifestyle, right? Am I engaging in spiritual regimen and spiritual hygiene in a way that's actually propelling my life forward? Or again, going back to that conversation of honesty, am I just performing? Am I out of integrity? Am I talking one thing and living another? That's a Venus and Virgo question. Do these friendships nourish me? Do they nourish me, or am I still dying of thirst, dying of hunger, dying for connection, just to say I have people around me, even though I still feel lonely, I still feel unfulfilled, right? Those are all very Venus in Virgo questions. And that is because Virgo loves systems, right? Virgo loves systems. And for those of you who had the pleasure of being in my prosperity class last night, we talked about how prosperity is an ecosystem, right? That's part of the reason why Virgo loves money. I think in terms of the understanding of money, right? Tauruses are the best at attracting money and accumulating resources. Capricorns are the best at structure around resources, whereas Virgo understands the systems in place to have prosperity in your life, right? You got to understand how the earth signs work around resources. And Virgo loves systems. And for them, for Virgos, they are very much acts of service kind of people. For them, love is in consistency. It's in the details. And it's in how you show up. They don't care about the chemistry and the love bombing and the big gestures. Are you bringing me my coffee in the morning? Do you know how I like my eggs cooked? Do you understand when I get off of work and I first get home? Even though I love you, I'm going to greet you with that kiss and I'm going to take 30 to 45 minutes to myself. And you giving me that silence is an act of love. Those are all Virgo kind of things, because Virgo understands how love works systemically as a system. And because of that, for them, love is about consistency. It's not about intensity. It is not about intensity. Almost every Virgo that I know, whether they're Virgo sun, moon, or Venus, they talk about how one of the things that they love about their partners, and I used to say this a lot about my ex, one of the things that they love about their partners is that they can be in the same space with their partner and be in silence for hella long, and they still feel very, very loved, right? And that's because, again, it's about consistency. It doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need to be, I remember, oh my God, right after COVID, everybody was taking them fuck-ass pictures in Tulum with the rose petal hearts on the bed and then the towel swans in the middle, right? And it was like the obsession of the moment that everybody had to be doing that to prove they were in a relationship, right? Shit like that turns Virgos off. Because again, they don't want lies, they don't want performance, they want honesty, and they want consistency. Venus in Virgo is gonna give you an understanding of what needs to be refined around not only the relationships that you have, but how you build relationships in the future, right? So some green flags for Venus and Virgo are people who follow through on their word, right? People who remember the little things, right? So I mentioned earlier, having a partner that knows when you first get home from work, you need that 30 to 45 minutes to yourself, right? They care about people who communicate consistently and who communicate authentically. The worst thing you can do to somebody who has Virgo placements is let them find out something from someone else because you didn't communicate it to them, because you weren't honest with them. Right? So consistent communication, honest communication. Those are green flags for Virgo placements. People who respect your routines, right? I had a friend, I'll call this person a friend, somebody I thought that was a friend in my life. And they knew that I like quiet mornings. But one of the first ways, and I never called them on that because there was a power imbalance in this alleged friendship. They knew that I liked quiet mornings, but they always made it a point to call me at like 7 o'clock in the morning, 7:30 in the morning. They were the first person ringing my phone in the morning, to the point where it pissed my partner off, right? That person obviously didn't love me, and I didn't feel loved. Again, remember, my moon is in Virgo. For a Virgo, if you love them, you respect their routines. You respect their boundaries. That's deeply important for them. Another green flag is you gotta love you enough to take care of yourself. And I'm gonna be really honest. Virgos do not like codependency. What do I mean by that? Even though Virgos have a tendency to mother or parent their partners, they still expect the people that they love to be able to take care of themselves, right? And that goes back to that reciprocal nature. We are adults. So yes, I'm going to mother you because I'm nurturing and I'm an earth sign. But if you feel entitled to that nurturing because you can't take care of your own self, that is the easiest way to upset somebody with Virgo placements. But people who are good at taking care of themselves, not just socially, but literally in the physical. Again, why do you stink, right? You need to be somebody who has good hygiene, has good eating patterns. If you are somebody who eats McDonald's for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, that's going to piss them off, right? But somebody who is good at taking care of themselves, that's a green flag to a person with a Virgo placement. A red flag is always trying to fix them or other people, right? Virgos don't trust people who are always trying to fix someone else, because the first thing that goes off in a Virgo's mind is that's energy that you can be putting into your own refinement. Again, we just talked about how the ability to take care of yourself is a green flag for them, right? And what happens a lot with people who are always trying to fix another person is that they tend to neglect themselves in the interest of chasing down and trying to fix another person. Okay, all right. So, okay, that makes so much sense. That makes a ton of sense. Some of the best relationships I've witnessed in my life have been with Scorpios and Virgos. So that makes sense that you guys get along. Okay. Okay. All right. That makes a ton of sense. That makes so much sense. Okay. Another red flag for a Virgo placement. People who confuse usefulness with intimacy. Right? Again, because Virgos don't like entitlement. Virgos do not like people who confuse usefulness with intimacy. How does that show up in someone's life? What does that look like? Okay. Say, I'll use Dan for an example if you don't mind, Nicole, since you brought up that he was a Virgo, right? Say I'm, Dan and Nicole's neighbor, and Dan is baking a cake and he needs to borrow some sugar, right? And I loan him some sugar because I have a bag of sugar in my house, right? I loaned him sugar, but that does not make me a member of his family. So if I become Joe Familiar and start talking about Dan as though we've been cousins all our lives, that is going to piss Dan off. Because it's like, I don't know you. You're just the lady who loaned me some sugar. You served your purpose, but that doesn't mean that we have an intimate connection, right? So people who confuse usefulness with intimacy really upset Virgos, because that is a break in boundary for them. And that's a huge red flag for them. They also have a red flag for people who settle because they see potential. Because Virgo, that is something that they do. I didn't say that Virgos are perfect. Virgos do that, especially in their love life. They may not do it professionally, they may not do it socially, but Virgos will settle for partners because they see their potential, right? And that's part of that hypocritical nature that earth signs can be hypocritical. They just can be, right? That's part of the hypocritical nature. They get irritated when they see other people settle for things because of potential, but then they will have the tendency to do that in their own relationships, right? Coco is a Virgo and you're a Virgo moon. I knew that you were a Virgo moon, but I didn't realize that Coco was a Virgo. But that actually makes sense. That actually makes a lot of sense. Especially because she's so good at divination. That ability to pick up on those details that other people may miss makes a lot of sense with her. Yeah. Venus is the planet of value, and Virgo is an earth sign. So when we have Venus in Virgo, it is a very delicious opportunity when it comes to either making money or refining our relationship with money. When I talk about refining money, budgeting, planning budgets, developing budgets for future projects. Those are all things that Venus in Virgo is really, really helpful with. So this is a great transit that favors budgeting. It favors organizing your finances. This is an amazing time to pay off or to negotiate a debt, right? Last time Venus was in Virgo, one of my friends had almost $100,000 in student loan debts forgiven, right? Because he took the time to do those negotiations. So you would be surprised what you'd be able to get taken off your credit report if you use this Venus in Virgo transit to your benefit, right? Venus in Virgo is great for improving business systems, for improving bureaucracies related to finances. It's also an amazing time to work on your investment skills, right? Remembering that Virgo is also the water bearer. So it's about what you nurture. And investment is about nurturing, okay? So This is not a get rich overnight kind of Venus transit when Venus is in Virgo, but it is one that refines you to be ready and to be prepared for an increase in wealth in your life. Okay? So that's how we should be thinking about Venus and Virgo. It's about refinement that can lead us to wealth, right? So asking yourself, where do I have money leaks, right? What are the things that I'm wasting money on that I'm not aware of? Or where are the places where my money is going that I'm not mindful of, those money leaks? At least, and here's the thing, I don't know what has happened since Jupiter's gone into Leo, but my my downloads have been really specific. There are at least 3 of you who are watching right now who have some sort of subscription that you keep forgetting about and you need to cancel. It could be Netflix or something like that. I'm getting like a gym membership or something, right? So that can be a money leak that you guys need to be aware of, okay? So thinking about, okay, what do I need to refine? What am I overcommitted to that's draining my finances, right? What small improvements can I make that compound over time? I think some of you guys, especially like MJ and some of the other girls who've been around me in person, y'all know how I'm about my coffee. I love coffee, right? Um, I used to waste so much money down at, well, this was before I moved to Atlanta. I used to waste so much money at Pete's, at Coffee Bean. Oh, I love Coffee Bean. I don't think they even have one in Georgia. At Starbucks, I used to waste so much money at these places. And then I had to sit down and realize, like, okay, bitch, get a coffee maker. Get a coffee maker. Like, get a coffee maker, make your coffee at home. And then once I looked over my budget, once I started doing that, I'm ashamed to even admit this, that at one point in my life, I was spending like almost $300 a month on coffee. And I was doing this for years, just stopping and getting lattes and shit on the way to work. And so imagine 3 years, 4 or 5 years of spending $300 a month on coffee. I don't even want to do the number, right? But again, what are the small improvements that you can make that compound over time? And when I say compound, they can either lead you to accumulate debt or they can lead you to accumulate savings. Those are all things that Venus and Virgo wants us to think about with our money. But again, Venus and Virgo is also self-worth and refinement. So what are the things you need to refine in order to strengthen your relationship to self-worth and how you value you, right? Virgo can become a little overly critical. So be careful not to beat up on yourself. Instead, just ask yourself, what if improvement didn't feel like punishment? A lot of us avoid self-improvement because we see it as punishment. Now, that's an inner child wound. And I'm going to talk about that next week when I do my first installment of the Prosperity Clinic, right? The ways in which certain inner child wounds or certain misconceptions around improvement as punishment keep us from making the changes we need to make, right? So Venus and Virgo really asks you, okay, what if you approached improvement not from your childlike self that may have been punished in particular ways that make you adversarial to change, but from your adult self, right? And you understanding it just as refinement and not as a form of punishment, right? There is a difference between healthy refinement and perfectionism. Perfectionism makes us believe that we have to do something to earn love, right? I'll deserve love when ellipses, right? I'll deserve love when, I've exceeded 6 figures. I'll deserve love when I lose 30 pounds. I'll deserve love when my credit score is 800. All this shit that ain't got nothing to do with love, right? Perfectionism will make us put all these conditions that make us feel like we have to earn love. Whereas healthy refinement and the wisdom of a healthy, aligned Virgo makes us understand I deserve care while I'm also growing. I deserve love while I'm becoming the best version of myself, right? Let's see. You ain't lying because yesterday I played lottery and evening cut off early and you missed your, I took all the apps off my TVs. I put the bulk in the family room. I'm not paying. I heard that. I heard that. Yeah. 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 Those, I used to get my hair done weekly. Now I get it done once a month. Yeah, those are all things that matter. As much as I love my nails, I had to check myself because, like, I don't need to get them done every 2 weeks. I really don't. Every 3 weeks is fine. Once a month is fine, right? Unless I fuck around and break one while I'm making amulets and shit. I did I tell y'all how I split my nail last month, and that's why I didn't get my nails done for a month. I was playing. I'm not playing. I was putting something together with my glue gun, and I glued my glue gun to my nail, and in the process of trying to get it off, I split my nail bed. Let me get back on track. Venus and Virgo. Venus and Virgo. But again, Venus and Virgo is really helpful for us because, again, Virgo is about systems. It has a respect for systems. And if we can use Venus and Virgo to really remember that prosperity is an ecosystem, it really brings a lot into our life in terms of changing how we go about things, right? Because we want to think that prosperity is just about making money and about having more. If you are not the type of person that can handle more, it doesn't serve you, right? So prosperity can be about maintaining your body, right? If you die early, if you croak out early, it don't matter how much money you have. It's billionaires out in the world that got heart problems. And they're worried about how their life is being cut short. And they literally can't buy their health, right? So Virgo teaches us how we take care of our body is also a part of prosperity. How we nurture our relationships is deeply connected to prosperity. How we manage and maintain our home, right, is connected to prosperity. People have gotten angry with me before because they're upset with me and they're crying about their money being wrong. And then I just ask them outright, when was the last time you cleaned your house? If you got dishes in the sink and your floor is dirty and you whining to me about not having money, I don't want to hear it. If you haven't donated clothes to your local shelter or the Goodwill or any other thrift store in the last 2 or 3 years, but you're worried about money, I don't want to hear it. Money needs clean, the energy of money needs to flow through clean spaces, right? So Virgo, again, understanding that prosperity is an ecosystem, Virgo understands, like, okay, I'm freaking out about money. I gotta clean my environment and calm the fuck down. There have been times where I was worried about finances, and just to get out of my own head, I started cleaning my house. And then once I was done cleaning my house, I looked up and I had bookings, right? But Virgo understands that money is a part of an ecosystem. It's about multiple things at the same time. It's about your bookkeeping and your records. You may be sitting around thinking that you don't have enough money, but it's that you're not budgeting your money right. I just told you I was out here wasting $300 a month on coffee. Coffee that I could have made in my own fucking house. That was the old me. That was a pre-2019 me. Don't judge, okay? But this is a time where we are meant to look at the neglected systems in our life that are starting to become expensive and looking over them with love. Looking over them and understanding that that refinement and that evaluation is a form of love. Again, a lot of us, and this is something I'm not even going to say who, but there are people in my life that I've been getting on about this. They run from feedback. They run from improvement and refinement because they think it's punishment. But Venus and Virgo is here to tell you that no, refinement is love. If you love you, stop neglecting you and pay attention to the things that you've been running from so that you can get them into order, right? It's really important that we consider the areas of life where we've confused love with labor, right? Again, I mentioned that Virgo is really good at understanding that usefulness is not the same thing as intimacy, right? So that's something to understand. Looking at where you overgive, where certain relationships feel unsustainable, what areas of life need to be refined instead of reinvented, right? Venus in Virgo reminds us that devotion is measured less by grand gestures and more by repeated acts of care, the systems you have in your life. Every loving relationship, whether it's a person, your ancestors, business, it's built through maintenance, right? This is something I get on people with about a lot when they first come into my mentorship. People want to have just one big experience of the ancestors because they think that they're like Pokemon or that they're like Disney characters. And so everybody wants to have a really big, weird experience. But when it comes to doing the daily things and making sure that you just tap in with them through acknowledgement, right? After you pray in the morning, you making sure that the water on your altar is clean. Those little things that are about maintenance, people don't want to keep up with that for whatever reason. But every relationship is about who you are and the maintenance you have, right? So you got to ask yourself, okay, what do I love? And what am I willing to show my love through consistency? Okay? So that's Venus in Virgo. That's Venus in Virgo. Let's talk about this Cancer new moon that's happening on the 14th, okay? I love this for us as well. I think it's timely and I think it's perfect. I absolutely love this for us. So there's going to be a new moon in Cancer on the 14th, which I believe is a Tuesday. And when we have a new moon in Cancer, this is a time where we're thinking about how it is that we can build a life that feels like home for us, that brings us safety, that brings us comfort, right? And I know that we typically think about every new moon as a new beginning, and that's helpful sometimes, but that's not always the most beneficial framework. A new moon in Cancer is a little bit different. The beginnings are a little bit different, right? So it's not so much about what we're going to accomplish in this next lunar cycle, these next 28 days, and it's more about what kind of life is actually going to make us feel safe enough to flourish, right? So we talked about some of the barriers in Virgo that make people not want to engage in improvement. And it has a lot to do with people confusing refinement with punishment, right? The way that Cancer helps us around this is that it gets us to understand that it helps us feel safe enough to flourish, to refine, to nurture, right? It's the safety of structure, remembering that Cancer is the mother of the zodiac, right? And it's, think about when you were a little kid. If you were blessed enough to have a good mom, it was your mom that made you feel safe to ask questions, feel safe to explore your identity, feel safe to really be who you are, right? And so a new moon in Cancer is about providing us the safety to flourish, to go out and build what it is we want for ourselves, right? Some of us have spent a lot of this year building things to impress others. And what we've been building, what we've been performing doesn't feel like home. It doesn't feel authentic. It doesn't feel nurturing to us, right? So the new moon in Cancer really provides us an opportunity to not only stop doing that, but to start putting forth the habits that are going to make us feel safe and at home, okay? Cancer represents emotional security, home, family, the ancestors, rest, rest, rest. Cancer is rest, okay? Cancer is another sign similar to Taurus. Cancers and Tauruses have unfair reputations for being lazy, right? And that's because Tauruses are about energy preservation and Cancers are about rest. And when you live in a hustle, grind, go, 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 survival of the fittest culture, when you have an energy of rest and home and comfort, people will call you lazy unfairly, even though Cancers work very hard and they're very amazing with money, okay? But Cancer energy deals with childhood conditioning. This is why your inner child work is going to come up quite a bit. Cancer is the mother, Virgo is the adult, right? So Cancer is here to help you feel safe. Virgo is here to make you engage in self-improvement that's going to bring you maturation, okay? And Cancer is also about the private self, right? So how are you treating yourself when other people aren't looking, right? Before Cancer asks you who you love, it's going to ask you where you belong. And a lot of us are chasing after and loving on people and things that don't bring us a sense of belonging, right? So having Venus and Virgo at the same time that we have a Cancer new moon is going to help us through refinement let those things go that are actually hurting us, okay? Cancer energy teaches us that prosperity isn't just about external success. It's about, do you have a healthy nervous system? Do you feel safe enough to exhale? Do you feel safe enough to be still and rest? Or do you feel so unstable that you think that if you stop moving for 3 minutes, your world is going to fall apart and that your money is going to disappear, right? If that's how you feel, then you really got to use this new moon in Cancer to bring in something different, okay? So what makes you feel emotionally at home? What makes you feel safe? Is it your body? Because the body can be home, right? In a lot of spiritual doctrines, they talk about the body being a temple, right? And that's something that I talk about a lot, right? Everybody wants to build altars, and altars are beautiful, but your body should be the first altar. You should be able to worship anywhere you are and wherever you go, right? Do your friendships feel like home, or do you feel like a stranger around the people you call friends, right? Is your spiritual practice home? Does your community feel like home, right? Does your marriage feel like, what feels like home to you? That's something to really sit with and ask yourself once this new moon goes into Cancer, and to really reflect over on this 28th day lunation, right? Many people are emotionally homeless, right? You may have a beautiful house, beautiful condo, beautiful apartment. Your living conditions may be gorgeous. But if you feel emotionally and spiritually homeless, does it even matter? And that is something that the Cancer new moon makes us grapple with, right? I want to talk a little bit about the difference between safety and familiarity, because a lot of us will conflate safety with familiarity. We stay in jobs because we think that they're safe, and what they really are familiar. We stay in relationships that are keeping us stagnant because we think that they're keeping us safe, and all they really are is familiar, right? So that's something that we have to grapple with, right? This can really stretch yourself, or stretch you spiritually, right? Because one of Cancer's shadows is mistaking familiarity for comfort. I say this all the time, every astrological sign has dark aspects and bright ones. And a shadow aspect of Cancer is that they can mistake familiarity for safety, right? I know a lot of Cancer placements, particularly Sun, Moon, and Venus, who are in marriages that they can't stand, but leaving it makes them feel unsafe, right? So some of the things that you will hear somebody who has debilitated Cancer placements say, I know how to survive in chaos. No, you don't, because chaos is not meant for survival. It's not meant for survival. You've just gotten used to the chaos. The chaos is familiar to you, but you're not surviving. You're actually pulling away at your own life force slowly, right? I know how to earn love. You shouldn't have to earn love. Love is not about performance, right? Another thing that they say, I know how to disappear. Cancer gonna hide in that shell. A Cancer is going to hide in that shell and brood and brood and brood. Okay, yeah, you know how to disappear, but what is it costing you, right? What relationships only feel normal because they're familiar? I've talked to you guys before about the friendship I had for 19 years and how it ended poorly. And even though it didn't need to end that ugly, it was just very disgusting the way that she handled things. when I look back on it, I realized that I was getting signs long before that fallout that I should not have been there. But like a lot of people, oh, I've known this person for this many years. I've just known them. And in that knowing them, I accepted all kinds of fucked up behavior, right? Familiarity and safety are not the same things. In fact, you can be in deeply unsafe situations just because they're familiar, right? What family patterns are we ready to stop repeating, right? Again, the mother, nurturing, the keeping of family habits, patterns, secrets, memories. What are the familial patterns that you are ready to break? Because they don't serve you. They're just keeping you in familiar energy, and that familiarity is not good for your bloodline. What emotional habits no longer protect you, right? You have emotional habits that may not be bringing you safety. You may be a person that overtalks and tells way too much of your business. You may be a person that clings to people who are nasty to you. You may be a person that keeps over giving to people who give you nothing back. Those are all emotional patterns to pay attention to. And those are just some that are examples. You know you better than I know you, right? So use this time to ask yourself, what are the emotional habits that no longer protect me? This is also a time to really think about ancestral emotional inheritance, right? What are the things that have been passed down through our ancestors, right? In terms of recipes, names, traditions. I make the joke that once my family get a name, they go and recycle it. I'm one of 4 Larisas just in my generation. One of 4 Larisas just in my generation. And it's worse with the men. There are so many Kenneths and Roberts and Bobbies in my family and Michaels. Like they get a name, they're going to recycle it. So thinking about the things that are passed down and inherited in your family, it can be positives and it can be negatives, right? So what are the inherited fears? My family don't travel for shit. That's why it took me so long to move across country. They are very fearful of travel. And that is something that I made it a point to break in my lifetime, right? It could be inherited coping strategies. This is how alcoholism becomes a generational curse. People don't talk about things. They don't process things. They don't get together as a family and collectively pray over it. They don't go to therapy. If you having a bad day or if you having a difficult feeling, we just gonna get some brown and figure it out. That cognac, that whiskey, that's how alcoholism is passed down through generations. It's a coping mechanism, right? It could be beliefs about money. It could be beliefs about love. It could be beliefs about emotional roles, right? How many Black and brown families do we know where the oldest daughter is seen as a surrogate mother? How many do we know? And then we look at those oldest daughters crazy when they end up not having children. Nigga, I done raised every fucking child in this family. If you would not have put, if you didn't make the oldest daughter inherit those roles, their lives may be different, right? Those are all things we should be thinking about while this new moon in Cancer is happening. What is my ancestral and my familial inheritance, right? Are you the responsible one? Are you the peacemaker in your family? Are you the one who keeps the family together? My family got mad at me when my mama died. I kept telling them, I'm not going to tell y'all my mama's name because that's a blessing. You don't need to know it. But I kept saying, I'm not insert my mama's name. And they wasted about a good 5 years trying to make me be her. I don't give a fuck. If y'all want to be together, y'all figure it out. That's not my responsibility. But what are the roles that you have inherited? What emotional inheritance are you ready to honor, and which ones need to be released? Okay? So those are all some things we need to consider while while Mercury, no, Lord God, while this new moon in Cancer is coming our way, right? We need to be thinking about what we want to manifest. We need to be thinking about the emotional environment that's going to support us in those manifestations, right? I told you again, going back to the friendship that ended after 19 years. I had no idea that they were talking so badly about me and what I deserved in love and relationship behind my back. Saying some really vicious things. And then as soon as I stopped fucking with them, my love life changed drastically. Because if you're spending time around people that are calling themselves your friend and then cursing you behind your back, you think that shit ain't gonna show up in terms of your lived reality? She was always saying something negative about me and my earning potential. Soon as I stopped fucking with her, I got a new job. My credit score went up 80 points out of nowhere. I wasn't working on my credit. But getting her out of my environment and out of my community shifted things instantly, right? So what is the emotional environment that's going to help you? Your friendships provide an ecosystem. They are a part of your emotional environment, right? Do you have strong enough boundaries to protect your emotional environment once you invest in it? What are you doing to bring yourself stronger boundaries, to bring yourself more joy, right? A seed grows because of the soil. Have you given yourself proper soil in order to grow the kind of things you want to see happen in your life? That may be why your manifestations aren't working. Because how can you manifest prosperity when you're in a community of poverty-minded people? Okay? Those are all things that the new moon in Cancer is meant to help us think about. So I'm excited between the Venus in Virgo transit that started today and this new moon in Cancer. This is a really delicious time. And here's the thing. I don't know if you guys remember this, but I said this months ago. I was like, stuff is really going to pick up with love and money for us midsummer. And I hadn't looked at the transits yet. And now that I'm seeing this, that I see that we have this beautiful 13th months of Jupiter in Leo, that we have these 24 days with Venus in Virgo, that we have this really amazing, safe, luscious, amazing, beautiful new moon in Cancer. Now I get it. Now I see. And I think that we're really going to make some beautiful things shake if we can really use this wisdom and heed this advice. Okay. So we are now at the end of the conversation. I do have spreads, one for Venus and Virgo, one for new moon in Cancer. If you would like a reading, go ahead and send your love offerings. Put in the comments which reading you would like. The suggested minimum of a love offering is $11.11. If you don't have that amount, send what you can. It's just about energy exchange, right? If you're in a position to give more and you're feeling generous, thank you. God bless you. But go ahead, if you want a reading, submit your love offering and put in the comments which of the readings you want or if you want both. While you all are doing that, I'm going to go ahead and start working on a few updates, okay? So I want to start with things that are being postponed, just in case anybody was looking for information around them. Both the road opening ritual and return to the womb are being postponed, okay? Those are things that I'm collaborating with other people on, and I'm waiting for them to get back to me with dates. So once they do get back to me with dates, I will start updating you guys on that. But those things have been postponed for now. What has not been postponed is Rich Spirit, okay? The next round of Rich Spirit is going to be taking place August 10th through the 13th, okay? The deadline to sign up is August 8th, okay? If you're interested in changing your relationship with money, if you know that you have financial stagnation and blockages that you need to remove, and if you are trying to call in some major financial change in your life, Join Rich Spirit. It works. I've been doing Rich Spirit. Damn, I've been doing Rich Spirit for almost 5 years. Been doing this ritual for almost 5 years. I've helped people get houses. I've helped people secure hundreds of thousands of dollars for their nonprofits and their businesses. I've helped people take vacations. I've helped people accumulate money to move out of states. Rich Spirit works if you work it. So if you would like to bring big financial change into your life, join us for this next round of Rich Spirit, okay? If for some reason you are not you don't feel ready to commit to the Rich Spirit ritual, or you're not available during those days, buy the Rich Spirit body wash. It's on sale. It's one of the special offerings for the month of July, and it is on sale for $33.33. When you purchase a bottle of Rich Spirit body wash, it comes with a sheet of instructions for you to do a prosperity ritual with the wash on your own at home. It is effective. I need to start putting reviews on my website. And once I do that, you guys will see the reviews for the Rich Spirit body wash and know that it works, okay? So those are some things that you can still benefit from, even though the other rituals and workshops have been postponed. Next week, I will be starting back with my prosperity and my financial trauma recovery work. So as I mentioned, I'm going to do about 2 or 3 free classes, and then my lecture series will turn into a paid program, okay? So the first round of the Prosperity Clinic will take place on Wednesday, July 15th. We'll be here at 8 p.m. It is free, okay? I'm going to be talking to you all about how being in survival mode creates financial blockages in your life. The metaphysics behind why that is, and how you can position yourself to see change once you leave survival mode, right? We don't have to always be in survival mode. Survival mode is not the same thing as being productive. And I think we live in a society where we have conflated the two, okay? MJ, if you want to get yours now and then pay me tomorrow, I'm open to that. I trust you. So I would rather do it that way than try to remember. Let me know if that's how you want to approach it. Okay. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, Prosperity Clinic. The first one will be Wednesday, July 15th. So be here next week, 8 p.m. Same time, same place. We will still have Astro Hour next week as well. So y'all gonna be spoiled. Next week, y'all get me 3 times. Give me for the weekly. You give me for the Prosperity Clinic, you give me for Astro Hour, which is spoiled asses. Okay? So if you've been interested in learning more about financial trauma recovery, how to incorporate it into your spiritual doctrine and practices beyond the flat, oh, I want to do prosperity work, i.e. I need to bring in more money, we're going to talk about that, okay? So make sure you're here, and I will see y'all then, okay? Nicole wants both readings. Thank you, Nicole, for sending your love offering in. If there is anyone else that would like a love offering, not like a love offering, anyone else that would like a reading, go ahead and submit your love offering now, and then I will get to you after Nicole, okay? So Nicole, I'm going to start with the new moon reading, and then we'll wrap up with Venus in Virgo, okay? So this is to give us understanding about what the new moon in Cancer has in store for you, Nicole. I haven't been really feeling millennial like that lately, so I'm going to use Tarot and the Divine. Okay. Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits who walk with me, my elevated ancestors. What wisdom does Nicole need about the new moon in Cancer? What is the Cancer new moon here to teach her about emotional safety, about creating home? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. You're welcome, MJ. Just tell me which of the readings you'd like to have. Okay. Now, in the position of the emotional foundation that you are building, we have a really interesting card. We have the Five of Cups, and I think that this is a beautiful energy. This reading is about you, but I wish this on other people. You are building an emotional foundation that is rooted in the present moment, right? You really just don't want to be held captive by your past, haunted by the emotions of your past. So creating an energy and calling yourself forward in a way that allows you to not take for granted the blessings of your present moment by being hyperfixated on your past is a huge part of the emotional foundation that you are building for yourself. In the position of the old emotional pattern that is ready to be released, being distracted by petty arguments and disputes, being so wrapped up in an energy of fighting that you are willing to win small battles while losing sight of a larger war, right? You don't have an energy or a desire to be I have to win every single argument at all costs kind of energy. I'm almost seeing like somebody trying to goad you into an argument, you being like, okay, you got it, you're right. Even if the person is wrong, just because you don't care to carry forward an energy that is quarrelsome, where you fight and bicker with people over dumb shit, because you are so aware of the overall war of life and the things that you are trying to accomplish and the bigger picture of what you win. Love this for you. In the position of what will help you create greater emotional security during this lunar cycle, I feel like I'm always saying this to you, but if the spirits are bringing it up consistently, then they're bringing it up consistently for a reason. We have Hermit, Virgo energy. You are in an energy of personal refinement, right? You are self-focused. You are making sure that the moves you make for you in your life are coming from a deep awareness of your own internal spirit, what works for you and what you desire, right? A huge part of what's helping you create emotional security during this moon cycle is that you are not being distracted by the outside noise of other people's opinion. You have a deep sense of self-awareness of what works for you, and you want to get more deeply acquainted with your own spirit. So I love this for you. I love this for you. It seems like the Cancer new moon is being very, very good to you, Nicole. Now let's see what Venus and Virgo is going to be bringing you in these 24 days. Okay. Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits who walk with me, my elevated ancestors. What wisdom does Nicole need at this time about how Venus and Virgo will show up in her life? What is the wisdom that these 24 days will bring her? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Okay, MJ, I got you. I'll do both for you tonight, and you can just Cash App or PayPal me in the morning. So once I'm done with Nicole, I'll do Aisha next. Then I'll do MJ. If there's anyone else that would like either a Virgo, Venus and Virgo reading, a new moon and Cancer reading, or both, go ahead and send your love offerings now, and then I'll put you in the queue after MJ, all right? These readings are so good for you. Where are you leaking energy right now? You are leaking energy. So the Three of Pentacles is coming up, and the Three of Pentacles is a card of, it's community investment, shared goals, people who work together like a well-oiled machine. You have this in your life, but you don't fully depend on it. And that's low-key where you're leaking energy. It's okay for you to lean on your people a little bit more. It's okay for you to take up a little bit more space in this kind of, friendship circle with like-minded goals. You don't have to do everything by yourself. And the Three of Pentacles is here to let you know that. right? There are people who are speaking positively over your name in rooms that you're not in. There are people who are advocating for you because they know your skills and they trust you so deeply, right? You don't have to believe that it's just all you, because when you believe that, that's what leads to energy leakages for you, right? What deserves greater devotion? And this has come up with you before, and I know we have a reading soon, Nicole. So it'll be interesting to see how this gets reflected in your reading, your session. But you got to trust your intuition more, right? You have a sharp intuition, a keen intuition, but you don't often trust your own intuition. So there's a little bit of a naivete there that really needs to be worked through. And if you can give greater devotion to your intuition, because here, your intuition comes from you, right? It comes from our inner spirit. It comes from Ori, but it's also a blessing and a gift that comes from our ancestors and our spirits. Our ancestors live literally within us, right? I think people forget that. Like, they're literally in our heart. That's not a metaphor. They're in our heart chakra, right? So that's why it's coming up as an issue of devotion. Just really, really trusting it deeply, right? How can you strengthen your prosperity ecosystem during this Venus transit? Judgment card. I see now why we have this. You got to start listening to your ancestors. They're very much around you, and they're giving you a lot of signals about how to move forward, when to go, when not to, right? So just keep listening and trusting your ability to hear what they're saying to you. If you keep doing that, that's really going to help you in terms of strengthening your prosperity ecosystem. Because it goes without saying, we all know that the ancestors are also a part of our prosperity ecosystem. That's where the ancestral treasury comes into play, right? So I hope that those are helpful for you, Nicole. These are fun. I came up with some good ass questions. I came up with some really good questions. These are really amazing, if I say so myself. Patting me on the back. All right. So we got Aisha next. I see you, Sanidra. So Sanidra, I will get to you after MJ. If there's anyone else that would like readings, go ahead and submit your love offering and put your name in the comment section, and I will get to you after Sanidra. You're welcome. I hope that you enjoyed those because they felt good. If they felt good for me, I hope they felt good for you hearing them, okay? All right, Aisha, I got you next. We're going to start with Venus and Virgo for you. Ancestors, what does Venus and Virgo have in store for Aisha over these next 24 days? What is the wisdom that Venus and Virgo is here to pour into her? And how will it help her in terms of refining her ecosystem? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Oh Lord, I got my window open and my neighbor's dog acting out again. Jesus. I'm a gossip real quick, but I'm surprised that they haven't evicted him, because a couple months ago his dog mauled somebody else's dog. Somebody else had one of those little what are those little rat-looking dogs? A Pomeranian. His dog fucked up somebody's Pomeranian, so I don't understand why he was still here. I'll stop gossiping. Aisha, what Venus and Virgo has for you with card 1, where are you leaking energy right now? World card in reverse. When the world card is in reverse, it's like the energies around us in life is calling us into a new chapter, but we're so afraid of that new chapter that we're stalling, right? And in that stalling, you are leaking a lot of energy. In it's like there's more overthinking and more fear about the new chapter than there is excitement. And because there's also a celebratory energy of the world card when it's upright. So you're leaking energy because you're convincing yourself that you're either afraid of or not ready. There's something there that's causing a stalling of your new chapter. And it's making you leak energy, right? In terms of what deserves greater devotion, your ability to protect yourself, your understanding that having boundaries that protect you, even if it makes other people experience you as mean, doesn't fucking matter, because that's how you honor you, right? And that's the main thing about the Queen of Swords. Not only is she the queen of intellect because she is the card of the writer, but she's also the queen of boundaries, right? She understands that she is sensitive. She understands that she's tender, and that means she has to protect herself very, very deeply. That's why she doesn't play about this sword, right? So you need greater devotion to the protection and the preservation of yourself. Queen of Swords tends to come up in this particular advice when we are more protective of other people than we are of us. And so it's telling you, like, hey, all that energy you put into protecting other people and fighting other people's battles, you got to put that into how you treat you, right? How can you strengthen your prosperity ecosystem during the Venus transit? By getting very, very clear on, girl, the Queen of Swords loves you down. Queen of Swords, stay coming up for you. But how you can strengthen your prosperity ecosystem during this Venus transit, we have the Seven of Pentacles. So getting really, really clear about where you want to be 7 years from now, and having the awareness of the seeds you need to plant to make that happen, right? Those two things in tandem is going to help you in terms of developing systems that allow you to nurture what it is you're manifesting, right? Seven of Pentacles is definitely prosperity, but it's not that overnight, fly-by-night prosperity that we associate with, like, the Sun card or the Ace of Pentacles, right? This is more about, what are the habits? What do I need to pay attention to? What do I need to prune? I use the language of pruning a lot when the Seven of Pentacles come up. What do I need to prune so that I can have the kind of life I want in the future? That's really where Venus and Virgo wants you to put your energy in terms of how you think over these next 24 days, okay? Now let's look at what the new moon in Cancer has for you. Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits to walk with me, and elevated ancestors. What wisdom does the new moon in Cancer have for Aisha? What wisdom will this moon provide her in terms of creating safety in herself, creating home in her environment? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Wow, that's what happened to one of my neighbors, and she has a lawsuit coming. What happened to one of your neighbors? I'm a little confused. Y'all know I be on here talking. I don't remember what I say. you gotta bring me back, MJ. Help me. What is going on with your neighbor? I love this for you. All right. I'm sorry. Okay. What emotional foundation are you building? You are enough. You are enough. You are the answer. I'm sorry. I'm going to keep quoting Sheila Atim because she ate down with her Akasha in Vampire Lestat. But I'm repeating it because I'm obsessed with that monologue that she gave. But no, that is literally the foundation that you are building for yourself. You are the answer. You are the answer. You have the capacity to create anything you want for yourself, to give birth to the life and the experiences that you want to have for you. One of the things that makes the Empress is that she walks into environments believing that people want to see her win, believing that people are going to show up to serve her. Not serve her in a servant, like I'm at a restaurant way, but serve her in that everybody has a role in her abundance. Everybody has a role in her progress, right? And that's a part of her creative manifestation. So you are actively, through the energy of this moon, well, this moon is here to teach you that a part of the emotional foundation that you are building right now is that you are the answer, okay? What old emotional pattern is ready to be released? You are releasing the need to have other people understand you. You are releasing the need for external validation. That's the only reason why the Seven of Swords gets distracted and starts fighting with the people at his feet. He's already elevated beyond these people. But instead of continuing to focus on his elevation, he's trying to explain himself to people who are not meant to rise with him, right? So an old emotional pattern that you are releasing and that this new moon in Cancer is going to help you release is this need to over-explain yourself, to have people understand you. The quality of your elevation and your progress is not dependent upon whether or not people get it. It's not necessary, right? Oh, shit. Now, she should have a lawsuit. She should have a lawsuit. People need to control their dogs. And if you can't control your dog, you don't need to have a dog. Let that dog go to a family that's capable of controlling it. But if your dog is going around mauling people and shit, no, you should have a lawsuit. In the position of what will help you create greater emotional security during this lunar cycle, we have the Devil card, right? So I will mention the common understanding of the Devil card just in case it applies to you. Just watch your vices, right? If you do any overspending, overeating, anything of that nature, just be mindful that you're not allowing these things to attach themselves to you and become a locus of control, right? Or an external locus of control. But for me, I think this is more about that Capricorn energy, about you being comfortable with being ruthless in what it is you seek for your life, right? Capricorns being the businessman of the zodiac, also the father of the zodiac. Not only are they ruthless, they are very structured and protective about what belongs to them. And I think that this is an energy that you really, really need to lean into, because this is actually going to be what makes you feel safe. It's funny because you remember the conversation we just had when we were talking about reparenting, right? You getting comfortable with refathering yourself is a huge part of what's going to bring you a lot of emotional safety during this 28-day lunar cycle. I hope that was helpful for you, Aisha. Let me know if you received your reading and if you enjoyed it. We have MJ next. And then after MJ, we have Sanidra. If there's anyone else that would like a reading, whether you want the Cancer new moon, the Venus in Virgo, or both, just go ahead and let me know. Put which one you want in the comments and go ahead and send your love offering. And then I will put you in the queue after Sanidra, okay? Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits to walk with me. Elevated ancestors. What wisdom does Sanidra need at this time about the new moon in... Sorry, MJ. I'm doing MJ. That's on point. Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that that's on point for you. I'm glad that it resonated. Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits to walk with me, my elevated ancestors. What wisdom does MJ need at this time about the new moon in Cancer? What wisdom is the Cancer new moon here to provide her? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Okay. In the position of the emotional foundation that you are building, MJ, we have the Five of Pentacles in reverse. And I love this for you because this actually builds on the conversation that you and I have been having, right? I think you are at a place where you are deeply aware of the ways in which there are people in your energetic environment, whether it's family, community members, that move from a poverty consciousness and poverty mindset. And because they move that way, not only do they expect that for you, they expect you to be comfortable with that bullshit, right? And so Five of Pentacles is talking about you having this awareness of that and doing what you need to do to take yourself out of that energetic environment, that ecosystem, okay? In a position of what old emotional pattern is ready to be released, we have, and this is actually an interesting one, we have the Ten of Pentacles, right? Now that may seem like, okay, that's a positive card. Why is that an old emotional pattern? Well, it can become an old emotional pattern when we are just doing things the way that our elders did it because that's the way that our family has always done it, right? Ten of Pentacles can be generational wealth, but it can also be generational curses. So in tandem with this Five of Pentacles in reverse, you are releasing a lot of old emotional patterns. You have an awareness of certain generational curses in your family, and you really want them to you want to be the stopping point. You want to be the place where they end. So that's beautiful. In a position of what will help you create greater emotional security over this lunar cycle, we have the Four of Cups, right? Now, this is a difficult energy. Four of Cups is a difficult energy. It's hangover. Some of the wisdom that you are going to be getting, especially when it comes to these generational curses that you want to end with you and your generation, they're going to be very, very heavy. And they require you to literally just sit with the discomfort of that reality, right? Because that's the only way that you're going to be able to see the wisdom beyond it, right? And so what this lunar cycle is providing you with is an opportunity to sit in the stillness of the discomfort. Not because you're being punished, but because that's what's going to sober you to the point where you have this deep dedication of making sure that these generational curses end with you, okay? So that is your new moon in Cancer reading. Now let's look at what Venus in Virgo has in store for you. Hi, Lumarina Mermaid Tarot. So right now, this is a day where I'm doing specialty readings. So I'm doing either a Venus in Virgo reading or a new moon in Cancer reading. I believe this is your first time joining me. If you would like for me to do a general reading for you, I'm totally happy to. You just need to submit a love offering. So the suggested amount for a love offering is $11.11. If you don't have $11.11, that's fine. Send what you can. If you feel compelled to send more, that's appreciated as well. But once you've sent your love offering, let me know. And I will answer your question after I'm done with Sinidra, okay? My Cash App and my PayPal both are scrolling below. So go ahead and send your love offering there, and then I'll answer your question, okay? And sisters, what does the Virgo Venus have to teach MJ? What is the wisdom that Venus and Virgo is here to give MJ? We'll let this card stay out over the next 24 days. Ooh, a lot's trying to fall out. Girl, Venus and Virgo trying to talk to you. Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Lumarian, let me know if you still want your general reading. If so, go ahead and submit your love offering and let me know when you have done so. And then if you still want it, I will put you in the queue after Sinidra, okay? All right. Where are you leaking energy? I'm not. Why do I want to cry? We have the Page of Swords. And I'm feeling emotional because I feel like this speaks to the last spread in a really, really concrete way, MJ. One of the things that a Page of Swords tends to do, again, because they are the honor student and they learn very quickly, they are hella excited to share what they know with other people. That can either get them a reputation of a know-it-all, or it can make the other kids in the class lash out at them. You have made a lot of progress in terms of, I'm not going to cry. You have made a lot of progress in terms of your spiritual journey. And in that excitement, it's like you try to heal people or share your knowledge with people who are not ready. And as a result of you trying to share this knowledge with people who are not ready, they try to bully you, right? And the way that bullying happens is, well, who do you think you are? That's why you X, Y, and Z. And then they throw your faults in your face kind of thing, right? And because you're trying to lift as you climb, elevate people before you fully sat in the knowledge of what you've learned and benefited from your wisdom you've accumulated, it's draining your energy. It's pulling away at your life force, right? In a position of what deserves greater devotion, Page of Pentacles, you got to focus on learning through doing. Focus on yourself. Focus on gaining the experiences that are a result of the wisdom that you've taken on, right? Page of Pentacles can be understood as being selfish because they're so hyper-focused on their apprenticeship and their training. But low-key, that's the phase of life that you're in. You need to be focused on you. So it's not your responsibility to lift as you climb right now. At one point, that may become a part of your responsibility, but right now it's not. Give all your devotion to yourself and accumulating the experiences that match the wisdom you've picked up. How can you strengthen your prosperity ecosystem during this Venus transit? Again, being dedicated to your studies. Being so dedicated to your studies that you're just focused on the refinement of your skill set and you're not letting the wrong people get in your head and in your ear and force you into imposter syndrome. That's how you really take advantage of this energy right now, okay? I hope that was helpful for you, Venus. Let me know. Extremely heavy, my goodness. I know I have to. This last year has been mind-blowing. Oh, and then the card that fell out for you, I almost forgot your card that fell out. Knight of Wands. It's funny that I just read your comment and you said that all this is really heavy, but part of the reason why the Knight of Wands fell out is Spirit wants you to remember, okay, yeah, you're doing a lot, but also have some fun. Have some fun. Knight of Wands is Aries energy, and it's a card of pleasure. It's about having joy in initiation and learning. So let yourself be joyful too, because you deserve to be, okay? All right. So now it is Sinidra's turn. Let me get back. I'm just going to highlight Sinidra's last comment so that I don't forget that I'm reading for her. If there's anyone else that would like a reading, either a Venus in Virgo reading or a new moon in Cancer reading, go ahead and submit your love offering, and then I will do your reading. Lemurian Mermaid Tarot, you still have time to submit your love offering if you'd like for me to answer your question. If not, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up with Sinidra. Unless anyone else wants a reading, Sinidra will be the last, okay? So Sinidra has requested both. So we're going to go ahead and start with Venus and Virgo for Sinidra, okay? That's why I took 2 months off, and you deserve to take those 2 months off, MJ. Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits that walk with me, my elevated ancestors. What wisdom does Sinidra need at this time? about Venus in Virgo. What is the wisdom that this transit has to offer her about love, about her relationship with prosperity? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. You also had a card fall out. And Lumerian, if you do not want your reading today, I go live on Sundays. That's typically when I do general readings from the audience. Sundays, 7:30 is when I do the weekly forecast, the weekly energy reading. Feel free to stop by if you feel that you'll be prepared then. I wish I could answer your question for free, but given, based on experiences of the past, I no longer, energy exchange has to happen. It just does. So I don't know what you were expecting when you came by, but yeah, would love to read for you, but you gotta, even if it's just $1, you gotta give something, okay? You can't, yeah. Anyway, Sanidra, in terms of where you are leaking energy right now, so this is gonna sound contradictory, right? Because Four of Wands is the home and its stable foundation. It's the celebration of milestones, right? Home is a beautiful, blessed thing, but you kind of hide behind home, right? And that's why it's showing up as an energy leak. Your children, although you see them as babies for you, they are kind of grown, or at least almost grown, right? So the tendency to be hyperfixated with home, to hide behind home, don't get mad at me, because I hate even having to say this to certain mothers, but to like low-key kind of hide behind your children, even though they're grown as hell, that's leaking your energy. It's leaking your energy. It's going into a space where the energy is not, low-key not needed, because again, most of your kids are grown or close to grown at this point, right? What deserves greater devotion? We have the Page of Wands again, and this has come up for you before. There are creative ideas and endeavors that you need to give yourself permission to root into reality, right? The Page of Wands is a child with a big imagination, and their lesson, their responsibility is to figure out how to root those big ideas from their imagination into reality. So if you can use instead of, being busybody with the kids, if you can use that energy to start building these things into reality. I'm trying to develop some sort of programming for mothers of adult children and how they deal with their empty nest energy, or how they prepare for empty nest energy, especially if their kids are like, 16 through 18 and they're preparing their kids to leave the home. Because I'm noticing that that's a thing that happens. Like, you guys are so used to being moms that you haven't spent time really preparing for what's next, right? But for you, you need to be devoted to asking yourself, what's next? What's next? Who do I get to be now? How do I use this time to take those things that I had to put on the back burner when the babies were little to now put them into reality now that they're grown and they got things for themselves, right? How can you strengthen your prosperity ecosystem during this Venus transit? Ace of Wands. Spirit is going to, especially between now and the end of this year, you're going to have new beginnings and opportunities around these passions. Take them. Whereas you may have rejected opportunities for change in the past because you convinced yourself that you weren't ready, or you convinced yourself that you weren't enough, don't do that shit. Take the opportunities when they pop up, okay? Now we're going to look at what the new moon in Cancer has in store for you, Sanidra. And if there's no one else who wants a reading, I'm going to end with this Venus in Cancer reading for Sanidra. If there is someone else who wants a reading, go ahead and submit your love offering and tell me which reading you would like to have in the comments. Oh, and the card that fell out for you was the Star card. Have hope and faith. There's a part of you that doesn't go after your passions because you convinced yourself that it's not going to work out for you. So the same hope and faith that you put into other people and the belief you put into other people, you got to start having that for yourself, okay? Ancestors, what does new moon in Cancer have in store for Sinidra? What is the wisdom that Tuesday's new moon in Cancer will bring into Sinidra's life? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. I'm a little, Lumerian, I hope that you didn't send a love offering just because you literally don't have it. If you came here thinking that I owed you a reading for free, I think you need to, there's a really fucked up thing that we do where we think that everybody who's on YouTube is here for attention. And we also have this fucked up thing where we believe that we are entitled to people's spiritual energy. And so I really hope that you are not a person who operates that way, especially because you have the word tarot in your YouTube name. So I assume that you read tarot professionally and that you expect energetic exchange as well. So I just want to put that out there. And I hope you come back. I do, Lumerian. I hope you come back. I hope we see you Sunday. I hope we see you at the Prosperity Clinic Wednesday of next week. But yeah, that was a little weird. I want to name that, okay? Let's see. In terms of the emotional foundation that you are building, you are developing an inner confidence that trusts your intelligence and allows you to see yourself as an expert. So I think that this is beautiful. I think it's very much aligned with what Venus and Virgo wants to see for you, right? The new moon in Cancer is going to help you make progress with that. King of Swords is like worthiness personified. They believe in themselves and they believe that people should have to work hard to have access to them and to fight to get to their knowledge, right? Traditional representations of this card shows the King of Swords on a throne on a cloud. Everybody don't have access to them, right? And this is a part of the emotional foundation that you are building for yourself. Because you're so rooted in your worthiness and you deeply understand your skill set now, you understand that you are not only somebody that's highly sought after, but that people got to work to get to you, okay? What old emotional pattern is ready to be released? Imposter syndrome, straight up and down. Sinidra, imposter syndrome has to be released. You know too much, you've worked too hard, you have too many skills to not believe that you deserve a seat at the table, to not believe that you deserve to be seen as an authority, right? So an emotional pattern for you that has to be released is hiding behind imposter syndrome. What will help you create greater emotional security during this lunar cycle? I can't make this up. Knight of Wands. Have fun. Let yourself have fun. I'm grateful for everything I said earlier about the nature of both Venus and Virgo and new moon in Cancer, because is there some refinement that's needed in your life? Yeah. But do you have to beat up on yourself in order to do it? No, you still get to have joy. You still get to have joy and pleasure as you're building the life you want for yourself and the identity that you want for yourself. So let yourself have fun while doing it, okay? Alrighty, I don't see any new requests, so I'm going to assume that that's everybody for the night. I've been on here for damn near 2 hours, so I'm going to go now. I want everyone to have an amazing weekend. Take care of yourselves. Get rest, okay? Especially because new moon in Cancer on Tuesday. We need to be rested, all right? I will see you all Sunday, 7:30 p.m. EST for the weekly energy reading. Again, the first Prosperity Clinic will be 8 p.m. on Wednesday, July 15th. So if you want to learn more about how to heal your relationship with money and to incorporate efficacious spiritual practices around prosperity, right? Not just surface level. We need to call more money in. Who do you get to be to make that money grow and to make it sustainable, right? These are things we're going to talk about in the Prosperity Clinic. We'll be here at 8 p.m. Wednesday, July 15th, okay? If you want to join me for the next round of Rich Spirit, click the link below to find out more and sign up. The Golden Shadows reading, which is the financial health reading that I offer, is on sale. So book your readings with me. If you want to purchase the Rich Spirit Body Wash, click the link below. And that's all for now. I love you all. I'll see you all in a couple days. Everybody take care. Goodbye.